And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
What's up, RBLR Nation? How's everybody doing? Hope y'all are having a good week. It's Super Bowl week. Exciting stuff. Or some people like to call it a Rihanna concert with a Kansas City Philadelphia Eagles game tucked at the at the bookend, whatever you want to call it. It's a big game. Super exciting stuff. I'm excited to be joined by my two amazing co-hosts, Musab, Tariq. Say what's up to the people for me, Musab.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, RBLR fans? It's nothing but a pleasure to be back here with the boys again, talking about some football. And that's really about it, though. A lot's been going on throughout the whole kind of off season, or it's not really off season just yet because we got the Super Bowl. But on top of that, it's just, it's time for our Buccaneers to be making moves. And, that's what us fans are kind of, on the lookout for. But then again, we still got this Super Bowl this weekend, so that is something to think about. So there is a side of me that is just naturally fired up, being the football fan I am. Zach, what about you? How you feeling tonight?
Man, I am in just a whole day of bad feelings because Miami, it was the NBA trade deadline. Miami didn't do a darn thing. I'm ready to talk football and have a good night.
Yeah, it's tough, man. The trade deadline was crazy today. Sports world going nuts over that for sure. But speaking of football, speaking on that, tonight rather, the NFL Hall of Fame finalists get announced, and Ronde Barber, potential Hall of Fame candidate. I don't know, what do y'all think? It's a Bucs player going into the Hall. That's super fun, super cool. Great honor for him. He was obviously one of the best players in Buccaneer history. Do y'all think he deserves to get in? Do y'all think maybe not? Maybe it's not his year. How are y'all feeling about it? Zach, we'll start with you. How do you feel about Ronde Barber's Hall of Fame chances?
Yeah, I mean, anyone that's listened to any of the RBLR shows knows that I'm a defensive guy, so I think that he's more than deserving of it. I think that the fact that he played for the Bucs kind of makes it a little bit harder for him to get in. But I think that he deserves it, and I'm hoping tonight we hear that he's a finalist for it.
For sure. Yeah, that would be ideal. I definitely think he deserves it. Certainly a super talented, super great legacy. Really a huge part of those Tampa 2 defenses. Really undeniable. Musab, how about you? How do we feel about Ronde Barber, his chances of getting in? You think he's deserving? How are we feeling about it?
I think he's absolutely deserving of it. I don't work for the Hall of Fame committee, but I mean, there's a lot of players I throw in there, not this year, but in the future and all that. But being the Buccaneers fans I am, I think he's an iconic Buccaneer, and he has had a huge impact, on our team. And there are a handful of players I feel that if you're just getting into Tampa Bay football right now, or just getting into football, I feel like he's definitely up there. Especially during those early 2000s when he was, just popping up. It's big for sure. And I think it's time for him to finally get recognized for all of his accomplishments.
Absolutely. I'm with you 100%. I think we're all in unanimous agreement. Ronde Barber has to be a Hall of Famer. He's had a tremendous career, just a really phenomenal player, and really kind of one of the main kind of trademark members of that early 2000s, late 90s Bucs defense that was really one of the best defenses ever, and it was a really, really tremendous group of guys. And, he was a perennial part of that, really important piece of that puzzle. Transitioning from that, but speaking kind of on the Bucs Super Bowl team of old, it is Super Bowl week. Who we got? We got the Philadelphia and Kansas City. Who y'all got by how much? Just fun prediction time. Zach, we'll start with you. Kansas City, Philly, who you got in the game and why?
I feel like it is almost a sin as a Tampa fan to say I want Philly to win, but I want Philly to win.
Right.
Because it has nothing to do with liking Philly. It just has everything to do with me not liking Patrick Mahomes. So
sure.
Realistically, I think it's going to be a very close game, but I see it going to Philly. That defense is kind of stifling. So I see it going to Philly like 34-30.
All right. Wow. 34-30 high scoring game. I dig it.
Yeah.
How about you? How are you feeling about the score, winner? How are we feeling about it?
Winner wise, yeah, I'm. It's not that I'm even rooting for the Eagles. I really do think that they're going to win it. I don't know. Just that Chiefs Bengals game just seemed a little off to me. Honestly, it just seemed a little odd to me during certain times, especially towards the end. Um, but then again, I have to give credit to them as well. For a banged up Patty Mahomes, and not even having a whole kind of stacked up roster or whatever, and still making things happen. But I have to say, the Eagles have been looking different this whole season. This is not something that it's like, oh wow, look at Philadelphia, running out of nowhere, looking hot. And on top of that, I have to say, more than anything, I'm rooting for the Eagles because I'm a huge Jalen Hurts fan. Only because when Tua took his spot, I have a lot of respect for Tua, but Tua took his spot, towards the end of that national championship, got the game winner. He was the man of the hour and everything. They were kind of battling for that starter spot, and then Jalen Hurts had to go to Oklahoma. He still did a phenomenal, he still, did amazing over there in Oklahoma. But it's just, I don't know. It's just, I kind of feel bad for the guy, and it was kind of his team at one point, and then out of nowhere, Tua takes it. Well, deservingly, I don't know. It's just it's tough. It's tough because this is Bama we're talking about. This isn't like the University of Northern Georgia we're talking about, where it's like, oh wow, look at we got two good quarterbacks. So if you're already at the top, if you're already at one of the top institutions for college football, you got to battle it out. And I've still always rooted for Jalen Hurts more than Tua Tagovailoa, and I'm just really happy to see that he's able to get this opportunity. And more importantly, again, yeah, I mean, the Eagles are looking hot. I'm rooting for them again because, yeah, I mean, I don't want, the team that, we beat them, beat in the Super Bowl to win, or, I just, honestly, with all due respect, I don't want this whole little Patty Mahomes as a GOAT agenda. Everybody and their mother is going to be, yipping and yapping about him on the news and all that. If the Chiefs win, I'm not going to go on social media for a whole day. And if the Eagles win, it's not like I'm not going to go on social media. I'm going to check it out and all that. I'm going to, hype up my, some posts or whatever. But long story short, score-wise, you know what? I think because it's a Super Bowl and I don't know why. It's just like the NFL just loves the Kansas City Chiefs. I think it is going to be high scoring. Zach, you said what, 34-30?
Yep.
I'm going to leave a little bit more of a, I can't, say an exact number, but, fine. I would go maybe like what, 30, 37, 31, 38. I'm not even thinking from the top of my head how, those numbers are even possible. But I have to say that I think they're going to win much more by 4 points.
For sure.
So basically what we just heard was Musab thinks that the NFL is scripted.
And let me tell you, hey, anybody want to talk about that extra down like the Chiefs got or something?
I'm not saying I disagree.
Yeah, I was sitting on the sofa with my buddy, just sipping on the cold one and all that, and I don't know where I was like, wait, hold up, like, aren't the Bengals supposed to have the ball by now, or like, aren't they supposed to punt it? And then I don't know where, like, it's, they're still throwing it or running, and I'm like, whoa, hold up. Me and my buddy were like, wait, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Honestly, it just, man, I got mixed feelings, to be honest, after that game. And then saw something in the article that's like $16 billion are being betted on with this Super Bowl game in the whole world or in the whole USA.
It's
I don't know.
50 million adults are betting on the game, and it's a total of like some crazy amount of billions of dollars.
Yeah.
It's wild.
I'm not gonna act like some conspiracy theorist and say, "Oh, the NFL is rigged" and all that, but I don't know. But I don't think that's a big factor. I think it's just gonna be. I think the Eagles are just gonna, do enough that there's not gonna be an excuse or any possibility that anyone can assist the Chiefs and winning this game. But yeah, I'm leaning more towards the Eagles. I'm going by 7 score wise. Again, I just mentioned 30, 37, 31. I don't know. All right, but more than 4 points for sure. But Carter, where's your head at with this?
Yeah, I'm with y'all. I got Philly. But they're like y'all said, they're going to be playing Kansas City and the refs. So it might be a little closer than it should be, because Philly talent-wise is so much better than Kansas City. But,
100%.
when you're playing the refs too, it's tough. So, when they throw in that extra down or the non-holding call in a key play, whatever the case may be. I still got Philly though. I've got Philly 30-20. I don't really think it's going to be a super tightly contested game, but like I said, the refs are a tough opponent to include in that game. It's going to be interesting though. It should be a fun game. I'm more looking forward to the Rihanna halftime show because she hasn't really been, God knows how long. And, we'll see what happens with that. But moving more towards a Bucs perspective, or less towards a Bucs perspective, depending on y'all's opinions. What's y'all's favorite Super Bowl moment? It can be Bucs related, obviously, and I think we'll all pick Bucs related moments. But is there a special moment from the Super Bowls of the past, whether it be the 2002 season or maybe it was the 2020 season with the Super Bowl, or anything in between? Was there a Super Bowl moment that really stood out to y'all? Zach, we'll start with you.
So you're going to start with someone who's not going with the Bucs moment, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a Brady moment, but being that my dad is a New England fan, the last Super Bowl, the Atlanta Super Bowl, not the last one, but the Atlanta Super Bowl, New England, Atlanta.
Right.
My favorite moment was that Julian Edelman catch, where he was in like quadruple coverage, tipped ball drill. It was just wild. That night itself was just insane. So that was probably my favorite Super Bowl moment that I can remember as being like an adult.
For sure. How about you, Musab? You got a favorite Super Bowl moment from the past?
Yeah. Yes, I do actually. This was when I really kind of started really getting into football. I went to a family friend's house who were from Arizona. Okay. Everybody and their mother was a Cardinals fan. And I was like, oh, okay, it's a Super Bowl. I'm here for the party, whatever. I'm just hanging out with my buddies. But my cousin is a die-hard Steelers fan. I'm talking, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? He was singing Black and Yellow his whole middle school career. You know what I'm saying? Acting like he was Wiz Khalifa or something. Anyways, long story short, I'm having a good time or whatever. The cards are up, and the whole, my family friend's house is, popping and all that. And I'm like, whatever, I'm just riding the wave. I'm not gonna act like, oh, no, Steelers are still gonna win, but. At the end, towards the end of the game, Mr. San Antonio Holmes with that little tippy-toe touchdown, everyone was shocked.
I still think that wasn't a catch. I stand by it. That second foot never hit the ground.
No, I still remember, like, during that time, like, someone mentioned that, like, football players do ballerina and all that. And then I remember the next day, I saw my buddies like, you see, this is why they do ballerina for, moments like those. And I was like, oh, my God, you're right or whatever. But looking back, I might have different feelings. But I just remember that very vividly because I've never seen a whole household of people just immediately change their mood, kind of just shut down. And I was like, holy crap. And that was also, I think, like their sixth title. So, everybody and their mother, from Pittsburgh was Sixburg.
Oh, God.
That was like my kind of, first sort of Super Bowl memory. But I also have to say my favorite one was just when the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl, a couple years ago, against the Chiefs. Only because, I was just chilling. I don't know why. I just feel that, like, there wasn't that many Gronk jerseys out there because people were like, what's the point of buying a Gronk jersey if we're very unsure? But I was like, man, screw it, man. Like, I don't know, man. I'm not going to get a Brady jersey because everybody in the mother has a Brady jersey. I should have thought of honestly getting someone else. I did get a Devin White jersey after we won the Super Bowl, but beforehand, I got me a Gronkowski jersey, racked up 2 touchdowns. And I don't know. I had a beautiful night, and I was taking snaps myself, posted up in the front of the TV. Man, I put on like Dreams and Nightmares, like a little video edit. It was my cousin recording me, like, when they were showing the highlight of Gronkowski in that touchdown, me flexing, with the Gronkowski jersey in the bag. And then, Meek Mill, I used to pray for times like this to rhyme like this, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I made a little edit. Oh my God, I was super excited, just because also, the Super Bowl was happening in Tampa. It was a very special occasion. It really was. So I think I have to say, when I saw that little Cardinals Steelers game, I was just into football, but as time went on, I really got more and more invested in football. And then once this opportunity came that Tom Brady was on our team and we were looking really, really hot, I was extremely, extremely excited for this Super Bowl. That whole run we had, I was, jittery every single game. It was honestly iconic. And that's really about it, though. Yeah, those are my memories.
Hey, fair enough.
You, Carter?
Oh, man, I'm going to get some flack for this one, and rightfully so. But I actually have the good fortune of having gone to a Super Bowl. I went to the Saints Super Bowl when they beat the Colts because my parents I know. My parents are from Louisiana, so I grew up a Saints fan. I'm no longer a Saints fan anymore. But I must admit, it was a pretty cool moment. The Tracy Porter pick six was the onside kick at halftime. Those were all some pretty cool moments. But yeah, watching the Bucs just absolutely obliterate Kansas City is definitely up there. But there's nothing like going to a Super Bowl. Although the Prince performance at his Super Bowl, that was a really elite moment for me as well, because that was like purple rain while it's fucking raining. While it's raining. That's just you can't top that. But anyway, so we're moving on. We're moving on. So now more Bucs specific in regards to the Super Bowl. Obviously, the Bucs have 2 Super Bowl rings. 2020 and 2002. Those teams were 2 very different built teams. 2020 was definitely super offense, very predicated on Tom Brady and what he could do. The 2002 defense, Brad Johnson was the quarterback, and he was a Pro Bowler, but it was all on that defense. The defense,
100%.
For sure. So with that in mind, which of these 2 teams do you think is better? Maybe not even necessarily just in one game, but just overall talent-wise, what have you. Who do you think's better? Musab, we'll start with you. Who would you take, 2020 season or 2002's Super Bowl season for the Bucs?
Ooh, this is tough. I'm going to be honest with you. What I do know about that 2002 team was, they were all just dogs. They were bullies on the field and all that. I don't know. For me, it's just I just feel that it was that 2020 season was a special. I don't know. Maybe it was just for me and all that. It depends on what kind of generation you come from or how long you've been watching the Buccaneers. But for me, it's the fact that you had Tom Brady with y'all. Our defense was phenomenal as well. We got some phenomenal guys. Oof. Who is better? It would be a dogfight for sure. This would be a battle if they actually played each other out. But I'm leaning more towards 2020 just because of the diversity of kind of players they had. I feel like all around when you kind of conglomerate, the skills from the 2020 team and the 2002 team, I think I would say the 2020 team would win. It was tough though. It is tough, but I'm gonna lean more towards 2020. There was just something about the chemistry and all that. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just because Tom Brady was his first year out there. Everyone was fired up. You also had Gronk out there. Everything kind of clicked together. But I have to say this as well as I really do want to see y'all's insight, and I want to hear y'all's feedback as to how this 2002 team was. As to how they were doing throughout the season and their whole playoff run and how they balled out in the Super Bowl as well. They had some studs. Seriously, it makes me think. I'm a huge basketball fan as well, and I only want to mention this because I have to say I genuinely think. I think a lot of people could say this. The game of basketball has changed differently, and I'm starting to think now. The more I talk about this, is that football was probably different as well. We're talking 2002 and 20.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Sure. So the style and everything, and it was more bully ball out there, less precautions, a lot more guys getting injured, and I can't imagine how more tougher it was. So you have to think about that as well. But Zach, what are your thoughts?
So I think the last part you said there is kind of glaring on this whole thing, because it all depends on what era they're playing in. Because the defense from 2002 was better than the defense in 2020, in my opinion. And the offense in 2020 was far better than the offense in 2002. So I guess to me, it all depends on what kind of game you like. If you like a good defensive team, then you would want to go with the 2002 team. And if you like just a potent offense, you're going to go with the 2020 team. Me personally, I'm a 2002 Bucs fan. Like, I think that team has multiple Hall of Famers on it as far as on the defense, and I think that they are way grittier than any Tampa team that we've seen or have ever had, really. So, in my opinion, the 2002 team would win that game, and I think that they would do it kind of dominantly.
Yeah, I got to side with Zach on this one. Just looking back at that season, the playoff run for the 2002 team was ridiculous. I mean, teams weren't close. They had a plus 69 point differential in all 3 games total.
Yeah.
I mean, it's remarkable. I mean, the 2020 season, I mean, obviously the Bucs dominated the Super Bowl, but those first 3 games, they had to go through Washington, they had to go through Green Bay, the Saints, and they were relatively close games. But man, 2002, they absolutely ran through the 49ers and Eagles, and then the Raiders didn't. I mean, it was a remarkable run. Exactly. It was truly an amazing run. So I got to go 2002. Plus, the Hall of Famers obviously very evident. But I will say the 2020 offense very much far superior to the 2002 offense. But man, that defense is undeniable. But like y'all said, a different era. Definitely has to play a factor into, if you're playing by 2023 rules, then you take the 2020. If you're playing 2002 rules, then you take the 2002 team. So it's definitely important to keep in mind. It's tough to compare eras, but definitely an interesting discussion to be had. So definitely kind of fun. But who you don't have to argue about competing with is RBLR gear. It's going to win every time. That stuff is fire. If you're looking for some nice threads, there's not an argument to be made that there's a better shop out there. It's not, the 2020 Bucs versus 2002. There's no argument to be had. It's all RBLR, all RBLR all the time. So check out that shop. We got a promo code Cannon, CANNONS. You get 10% off your order if you type that in there. Check that bad boy out. The link's in the description. Definitely get yourself something. Valentine's Day right around the corner. I'm not sure if it'll get there by the time that you order it, but hey,
maybe if you pay like $15, $20 like extra PS first class shipping, I guess. But hey, you can make it happen if you really love your loved one. You'll make it happen. All right, it's not too late.
Guilt tripping them.
That's right. I mean, if you really love a person, then you'd get them RBLR gear, and you'd pay for express shipping.
If you don't get them, then you don't love them. It's just
exactly. Just
maybe. Hey, listen, man. Times have changed and all that. Maybe do something a little bit crazy. Maybe get a little RBLR tattoo.
Ooh.
Yeah. You know what? Listen. I got a little bit of space left.
One couple can get RB, and then the other one can get LR. You'll post up and say, "Congratulations, we're married," or something, or "Hey, I tied the knot." Or maybe have an RBLR theme, like wedding or something. I don't know. Hey, listen, I can go on and on, but
how did we get here from a merch read?
Oh man, we had a shop plug, and now we're talking about getting matching tattoos. Oh man, if we had a 4th person, we could each get one letter, RBLR.
Maybe we do have a producer.
Exactly. But anyways, enough of the shenanigans. But more to some more Bucs focused news as opposed to just the Super Bowl in general. They're still searching for an offensive coordinator, and the search is very much ongoing. They've been interviewing people out the wazoo. They got Dave Canales, excuse me. Oh man, that pronunciation of that last name was probably atrocious. But he's the Seahawks. He's the Seahawks quarterback coach. He worked with Geno. He worked with Russell Wilson before Russ became the Russ he is today. They also interviewed Shea Tierney, the Giants quarterback coach. He was also the quarterback coach for the Bills, so he's worked with both Daniel Jones and Josh Allen, both incredibly talented quarterback. Well, one's an incredibly talented quarterback, Daniel Jones, still to be determined, but he had an amazing season last year.
He's getting there.
Exactly. And he had an amazing season right when Tierney came on. So the correlation there's something to look at. Let's say that they hire one of these guys. They're both quarterback centric, obviously, as most offensive coordinators these days are. Let's say that they hire, for example, Mr. Tierney. Do you think that maybe they go and find themselves a new quarterback? I mean, Kyle Trask is very different than Daniel Jones and Josh Allen. So when I looked at that kind of news, I immediately thought of Anthony Richardson. I don't know about y'all, but Anthony Richardson, very much of that same big-bodied, big arm, very mobile kind of guy. What are y'all's thoughts on that? Just in the general offensive coordinator search, but as well as, how do you think the Bucs move with the quarterback position moving forward, depending on which offensive coordinator they hire? I know that's a very long question, but Zach, just what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I feel like we're not going to have an answer to what we're going to do at quarterback until we have an offensive coordinator.
For sure.
Which I think is the most annoying / just irritating feeling this offseason. Well, this offseason for us so far is I saw a tweet asking if we were to draft Anthony Richardson, should we trade up for him? And it's well, I don't know who our offensive coordinator is. So in my mind, I'm not trading up for anything right now.
Right.
So it just feels like once we figure out who our offensive coordinator is, then I think we'll have a better idea of what we can do at quarterback. I feel like none of the ones that I'm seeing are leading to Kyle Trask, being the quarterback moving forward.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. It's definitely a weird group of guys that they're interviewing if they really do want Kyle Trask to start. Because like I said, Kyle Trask is very different than Russell Wilson, Geno Smith, Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
These are all guys that are very much athletic. They're mobile. They move around. They've got, a pretty big arm. Kyle Trask is not that. He is very much, he's very much a field general, kind of game. I don't want to say game manager because that has a negative connotation to it, but
he reminds me kind of like Jared Goff, but not as big of an arm, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you, and that's a tough comparison to make because Jared Goff without a big arm is pretty tough. Without all due respect with Jared Goff, he was in Detroit this past season and he had a wonderful season.
Did very good.
He had a very good offensive line and he had some pretty good receivers as well and a pretty good running game. So it's definitely a lot of things have to go right for a quarterback like that. But Musab, how about you? How are we feeling about the offensive coordinator search and how it relates to the quarterback position?
I'm right there, y'all, with what's kind of going on. I think first of all we need to figure out who we're gonna get, and then see from there. I want to be honest with you guys. Looking at the situation that we are going through right now, and as to what we've seen from Kyle Trask, which is barely anything, I think this was a bad move to get him so early. It's one thing if we got this guy 6th round or something because no one else wanted him and he just turns out to just be available or something. But I think we played a little too risky and we might have to pay off for it. I know this sounds weird because 2 years ago I was saying all aboard the Trask train, but we have to be realistic. You guys are both mentioning, he's not as mobile as the others. So for me, I'm thinking, we want someone who's experienced with working with these kind of young quarterbacks. And I don't have anyone who I really, with the people we're looking at or interviewing, I don't have anyone I'm, really favoriting by right now. But I have to say, guys, and this is kind of my little hot take question is I'm starting to think, even whoever offensive coordinator wise we hire, and even looking at Todd Bowles, our head coach, I don't think either of these two coaches want to play with their job, especially being, with the organization we've had in these last couple of years. Surely we had our ups and downs this last year, but it's not like we did completely, horrible or something. And then, the couple of years before that, we were looking real good. So we're not looking completely off track. It's just we just need to make a few adjustments. And for that reason, we need to be serious about this. This is not saying, okay, we'll just give it to the next guy. This isn't like, principal, passing the torch along to the assistant principal. This is talking about, we're going across states, finding another kind of other leader. Listen, it's hard, getting the right guy or the best guy out there with, the competition and, the free agency period and all that. I could go on and on, but I think Kyle Trask is just going to turn out to be a backup. There might be times where he might, look hot or something. But I think that, not even we, but, the coaching staff can't be playing with their jobs. We're going to have to do something about it. But first being first is, we need to find the right offensive coordinator. And I trust that the rest of the coaching staff, the front office, the most experienced ones. Find the best ones. There are guys out there, offensive coordinators, these QB coaches, especially, who have experience, as you all mentioned. And that's where I'm kind of leaning towards is we're going to have to make some big changes, guys. Honestly, I think the talk we were kind of having after Brady like fake retired or something, and we had this little like semi-panic mode. I think we're going through it right now, but it's obviously way more solidified. This is definitely for sure. Brady's not coming back. And on top of that, I mean, it was one thing that we did pretty good. We did pretty good last year, as Brady was like, all right, fake toodles. But this was kind of an ugly season, really weird and all that. We had injuries and all that, and it's time for a fresh start. It's really hard to say. And I told my football friends as well, as at one point every single championship team or every hot team is going to have to kind of go down a little bit. It's a tough pill to swallow, but with the right kind of moves and with the right adjustments and everything, I think that we can slowly improve, or maybe greatly improve year by year, or maybe we do real well. I don't know. We'll see how it is. That's what I love about the football game is it all just comes down to how everything kind of clicks well. I think the most important thing is just chemistry and how well whoever we hire works with the rest of our organization and with the rest of these players. But I do have to say, I think we do need to look for a quarterback, and I know we'll probably discuss that a little bit more, but I'm not looking at the draft. I'm looking at like free agents or someone who's already been in the league. I don't want to keep playing this little risk it kind of thing where it's like, oh, let's just find the next big thing or something. I want experience. I want experience more than anything.
And Tampa has a track record of not being able to develop quarterbacks. So, like,
what makes you say that?
Yeah, I don't know. Josh Freeman, Jameis Winston. Mike Glennon. So it feels like if we're going to go the route of a new quarterback, the safe bet from Tampa's fan standpoint is free agency, not the draft.
Right. And I think Musa brought up a great point with job security in regards to these coaches. No matter what the front office wants, the coaches are the ones making the decisions about who plays, and vice versa. No matter what the coaches want, the front office ultimately decides who they draft, who they sign, who they trade for. So it's going to be kind of awkward because, whoever they bring in for the OC job, he could very well be gone in a year. Same with the quarterback position. Yeah. So
listen, I have to ask, guys. I mean, I'm thinking about all this kind of talk that we've been having. I'm not going to act like I've been super deeply invested, but guys, can we just talk about how the fact that like we're talking QB coaches and not really like a true offensive coordinator? There's this kind of sense or this atmosphere where it's like, do the right offensive coordinators or decent or good offensive coordinators really actually want this job? I think we're kind of going a level low, are we not? I don't know. This is just kind of something. I mean, there's a lot of things to think about, but I don't know. This is just something that was more of a thought in the air.
I guess, like, my take on that is, if you're doing good enough as an offensive coordinator to be picked to be another offensive coordinator, it's like, why would you want to switch from one job to the next without a promotion? So right. I feel like we're interviewing these QB coaches and passing game coordinators or whatever you want to call it, because in my mind, it's like an offensive coordinator is not going to want to go from one team offensive coordinator to another team. They're going to want to go from an offensive coordinator to a head coach. Right. So why leave where you're comfortable, I guess, is kind of how I look at it.
Right. And especially,
you're right about that. And I guess, we're not an organization where it's like you're willing to make the sacrifice. It's one
exactly.
thing for, we're a really special team, and you already have a amazing, well-renowned head coach, and, he just needs someone else to kind of, be under his belt or something. But we're just the Buccaneers right now,
Yeah,
so I agree
exactly.
with you right there, Zach.
Yeah, it's certainly a Bucs life right now. It's tough. And all jokes aside, this could be, I don't want to speculate, but this could be genuinely one of the least attractive offensive coordinator positions in the NFL right now.
I mean, it's got to be.
Yeah, it's just a hard truth. It's a tough pill to swallow, but it's the truth. I mean, you're asking a guy to come in with a head coach that maybe has a year or two left on his leash, with a roster that's just old and kind of void of young talent. The quarterback position's in flux. I mean, there's not a lot of stability here. So a quality offensive coordinator is going to look elsewhere. They might stand pat and wait for a different offensive coordinator job, because nothing's worse than having a crappy experience on your resume, as from a coaching perspective, going somewhere and just completely bombing. And I don't want to say that's what would happen, but it's certainly a possibility. It's very much, I'm with y'all. It's definitely,
it's a realistic option that you come here and you fail. Because of the lack of weapons. Like, everyone looks, and if you're not a real football fan, you look at it and you go, oh, they have Mike Evans, they have Chris Godwin. But if you look deeper, we have no run game, we have no quarterback, we have very few offensive linemen that are worth anything. So you look at it, and as an offensive coach coming in, it just feels like you could come here and realistically do the worst you've ever done in your career.
Absolutely.
Honestly, the way I kind of see it is that it's more of a kind of boom or bust situation, really.
Right.
Good point.
Because of this reason, as y'all both mentioned, what kind of offensive coordinator wants to come into our organization. It's more kind of giving that, QB coach, someone who's under the offensive coordinator, the opportunity to step up to the plate. And I just hope that, we really make the right choice, because I think I feel really bad saying this, just because, I 1 second I was loving the guy, but I'm not anti-Trask, but he was a bust. I was thinking, I was riding the Trask train thinking he was going to be a little boomer kind of something, but it was a boomer bust situation. He's looking like a bust right now. I don't think that he's completely dog crap or something, but it's just that, we're not seeing enough of him. There's a reason for that, Clearly, he would get his opportunities if he was really looking that good, So the big thing for me is just, getting someone who's experienced, and it's going to be hard, guys. Being an offensive coordinator is not easy at all, and starting kind of from the bottom after going through such a big change, knowing that you lost someone like Tom Brady, just imagine you're like the medical director of a hospital and you just lost your top tier surgeon, and now you got to hire someone else. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's tough. It really is, because, leadership really comes into this role. So that's all I really have to say. I don't know. We're in for a treat. I'll tell you that. We are in for a treat. This season's going to be interesting. I do have some optimism, but more than anything, more than these last 3 years, we have to be very realistic about who we are and what we have.
For sure. Yeah. That's unfortunately a very dark but real take. It's reality. Like y'all have been saying, it's definitely a position that's in flux, the offensive coordinator position. It's a weird spot. It's very awkward. I don't know that they're going to get a very top tier candidate that's kind of reflective of the names that are coming in. We'll see what happens. It's tough because, like Musab said, with the Kyle Trask situation, we haven't seen much from him, but there's a reason for that. He clearly has not really been progressing as the way the coaching staff has wanted. He hasn't been dressing. He's been inactive pretty much his whole career. And, he got to sit behind Tom Brady and learn, or in this case, maybe not learn very much, because clearly it's just not clicking, I guess, which is tough. Hopefully we're wrong. Hopefully he proves us all wrong and he goes out there and has an amazing season, but I kind of doubt it. Regardless, let's move to a little bit of a maybe kind of happier topic, although maybe not happy, depending on your point of view. More of the personnel side. There's holes to be filled in this roster because a lot of guys are gone. There's not a lot of money to do it, so we're not looking at Lamar Jackson. We're not looking at Josh Jacobs. We're not looking at any of these top players. You're right, but there are still spots to be filled. There's still roster spots. Guys need to go. They need to find people with pulses to play these positions.
Yeah.
So we're kind of looking at the free agents. Are there any free agents that you might want the Bucs to target realistically? Maybe they need a prove-it deal. Maybe they were a pretty talented guy, but then they made it to the NFL and they realized, wow, things are really different here. Some guys that come to mind, or at least one that popped out for me, was definitely Marcus Davenport. He was a first-round pick by the Saints this past year. He's an edge rusher. He's been in a 4-3 for the majority of, or for the entirety of his career, so he might have to shift to a outside linebacker, edge rusher position, but that's not really an issue. My main issue is his lack of production. He has not been very good. He has not cracked double digits in sack totals his whole career, and he's been playing on a really good defense. So that's disturbing. And he's oodles of talent, don't get me wrong, but he just has not been able to capitalize, and the Saints look done with him, and they need cap space, and they're not going to continue. They're not going to pay what he's going to projected to be paid this year, or at least what he should be paid this year as a first-round pick or a former first-round pick. Regardless, they're cutting him probably. So that's one of the guys that I thought of. But are there any other names that maybe y'all thought of? Musab, we'll start with you. Are there any names that kind of came into your head when you were thinking about Bucs free agency at all?
Oh, yeah, I got two. First being, I'm still just looking at the kind of, DB situation. I like this guy, Jesse Bates from the Bengals. I think that he's not going to be in Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's gonna be a high contract though.
Yeah, that's that's going to be a reach for sure. But even on top of that, honestly, more than anything, I'm looking at offensive line. I don't really have anyone to specifically kind of point at or something. I guess one guy that I did hear about was Mike McGlinchey, just because he was doing pretty darn well, with the 49ers. He only allowed about like 20-ish pressures, only allowed a couple sacks. But I'm just looking for really anyone with the experience, and more than anything, I do have to say I think that this is really going to be not really. Yeah, we only have so much money. It's about really finding the right kind of hidden gems for the right price or for a low price, really. And it might take a year or two. It's not just going to happen all in one season or something. But I want protection or something. There's just so many puzzles to fix. But I have to say, whoever is going to be our quarterback, he needs protection for sure. And with what's happened with our offensive line, I am still very concerned about what's going on right now. Defense a little less worried about. And again, I mean, I do have to say, Todd Bowles, our head coach, still gives me the vibe that he's a little bit more conservative, and he's still leaning towards, the defense. And I feel like he's more comfortable with, the defense situation compared to our offense situation. We need we need some changes on the offensive side more than anything. This is going to be interesting, and I think we're going to have to play some risks. And I'm just honestly fingers crossed right now. We need some depth right now. That's probably some things I'm looking at, even with the NFL draft as well, is looking at some good depth pieces and looking for some hidden gems. I don't want to look for any kind of big star and really counting on him. I don't want to draft some star quarterback in college or a star running back or even, star anything in college, fine. If they, maybe, I'll get a star offensive lineman, but he better be doing damn well, honestly. So it's, I don't know. As of right now, it's really hard to say, what exactly I want more than anything. I just want more kind of a solidified team. I think that it's important to understand that you can have the best players, but then you have to think about your bench players. Things happen, people get injured, sick, or I don't know, whatever. You could be like Antonio Brown and become a drama queen and just leave halfway through the game or something. I don't know. Okay, so for that reason, I'm looking for more depth, and but I want more depth on the offense. Offensive line. Even on the defense, I think we have some decent offensive weapons. It's just about team chemistry. It's going to take some time as well. Honestly, guys, I think we're not at rock bottom, but we could be if we make some stupid moves. Honestly, it's really up to the front office right now to make the right moves and, hear out the fans and, really, really think about it. Right now it's still very early. We have a lot of time. This is not like this isn't like end of July, August we're talking right now. So it's time to really start thinking about these things seriously. I feel like I didn't really think about it too serious last year when the whole little Brady retirement thing happened, because I was like, oh, whatever, Brady's gone. We'll be fine. Our team's still looking really good. But as I mentioned, almost every season is, things are bound to happen. And I even mentioned it right now. And that's what happened this last season. So we need some changes. especially on the offensive side. Those are some guys I'm looking at right now. But Zach, maybe you got some names.
Yeah, I've got 5 people that I can kind of think of that might be sort of on private prove it deals. The first one is not really. I'm not too sure that's going to be a realistic thing, but Tremaine Edmonds, linebacker out of Buffalo, he's projected to be worth around $11 million a season. So I think that's why I'm saying he's not likely, but he has had kind of inconsistent seasons. He's been really good at some points and really bad at other points, kind of like Devin White has been for us, if I'm being completely honest. And then another linebacker who is projected to be worth much less than him is Devin Bush. Same draft as Devin White. Went a little bit after Devin White. I believe he went at pick 19, and he seems to be a lot cheaper than anyone else that I've been looking at. So he's someone that I think has potential to be very good. Just didn't get the chance to be really good in Pittsburgh. The last one I have on defense is a guy who I'm sure a lot of people don't really know about, but Samson Ebukam. He played for the Rams this last year, if I'm not mistaken. He's a guy who, and I could be wrong, he may not have played for the Rams. I know he played for the Rams at one point, but
Played for the 49ers last year.
The Niners, yeah, that's who it is this year. So he's a guy who I think is underrated. I think has the ability to play very good off the ball, DN kind of off the ball outside linebacker, and can also play DN. So I think that he's someone who is not going to be worth very much, but has the potential to be very good. And then my 2 on offense, 2 quarterbacks. Obviously, we're only going to pick one. Tyler Huntley and Taylor Heineke.
Yeah. That's about what they can afford. Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. I think Taylor Heineke has shown glimpses of being very, very good on a very poor Washington team. And he has the mobility to get out of the pocket and not be just Kyle Trask or Tom Brady. So I think that he plays very, very well. And Tyler Huntley, I think, is kind of a wild card. Didn't see much from him playing in Baltimore, but he comes to the Pro Bowl games and is throwing dots. So I think obviously there's not really much correlation between throwing at some targets and playing 7-on-7 football. But I do think that Tyler Huntley has the capability to be pretty decent, better than Trask in my opinion. And if I had to pick one, I'd go Heineke to start for us next year. As far as like a smaller contract, but Huntley I think would be more exciting.
Yeah, I think there's a more of a boom or bust factor with Huntley.
Yeah,
or Heineke, because Heineke's gotten a lot more chances than Huntley has for sure. But yeah, those are definitely some interesting names to throw out there. I like the Devin Bush inclusion, but yeah, these are it's a sad time because they're they're over the cap right now. So there's not a lot of money to be thrown around. So a lot of the names that we're going to be going through just moving forward are not going to be top tier, unfortunately.
Exactly.
It's going to be scraping the bottom of the barrel. We're going to be talking about guys that are has-beens, never weres, or just didn't pan out. I mean, oh man, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Another guy that I thought of for the offensive line, we were talking about that, Cody Ford out of Oklahoma. He was with the Cardinals this past season. I mean, he's not great, but, he's a free agent. He's going to be cheap. And, why not? Yeah, so it's just that's what I'm saying. Like, and another guy, N'Keal Harry, he was a first-round pick. So I don't know, but he's going to be cheap, Yeah, I mean, I really
want him.
There's got to be someone out there running, getting some cardio in while they run routes.
Fair.
So we'll see how it goes. Definitely not a super encouraging way to end this episode, but regardless, I wanted to thank our listeners. Thank you all for stopping by, tuning in. Hit that like and subscribe button if you could, or hit the follow button on any of our socials. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at RBLR Sports. Hopefully this Bucs off season starts to pick up soon. Some decisions start to get made. We can have a little bit more Bucs news to talk about. But regardless, it's always great to hear from my co-hosts. Always great to get to interact with the RBLR Nation. And hope to see you next week. Hope you watch some good news. And as always,
Go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Goodbye.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.